Alfonso Cahero, A Journey into Finance History. Chapter 50, European Union and the Introduction of the Euro, 1993 and 1999. The aftermath of World War II left Europe in ruins, both physically and emotionally. Nations were battered, economies were shattered, and the deep scars of conflict seemed almost insurmountable. However, from this devastation emerged a visionary idea: a united Europe. Leaders from various countries began to dream of a continent where borders were merely lines on a map, where trade and travel were unhindered, and where peace was the lasting legacy. In 1951, the first concrete step toward this vision was taken with the formation of the European Coal and Steel Community, ECSC. France, Germany, Italy, Belgium, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands came together, pooling their resources to manage their coal and steel industries jointly. This collaboration was not just about economics, it was about forging bonds that would make war between these nations unthinkable. 6 years later, in 1957, these same countries signed the Treaty of Rome, establishing the European Economic Community, EEC. The EEC aimed to create a common market, eliminating trade barriers and allowing the free movement of goods, services, capital, and people. The success of these early initiatives set the stage for even greater ambitions. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, more countries joined the EEC, and the dream of a fully integrated Europe grew stronger. Yet, the real game changer came in 1993 with the signing of the Maastricht Treaty. This treaty officially established the European Union, EU, transforming the EEC into a more comprehensive political and economic union. The Maastricht Treaty also laid the groundwork for a single European currency, the euro. The idea of a single currency was both revolutionary and contentious. Proponents argued that it would simplify trade, eliminate currency exchange risks, and strengthen the economic position of Europe on the global stage. Critics, however, feared the loss of national sovereignty and the economic disparities between member states. Despite the debates, the path was set, and the journey towards the euro began. The story of the European Union and the euro is a tale of visionary leaders, bold decisions, and the relentless pursuit of unity. It is a story that reflects the triumph of hope over history, of cooperation over conflict. As the dream of a united Europe moved from vision to reality, the world watched with a mixture of skepticism and admiration. The road to the Maastricht Treaty was paved with numerous challenges and negotiations. In the early 1980s, Europe was still grappling with economic instability and political tensions. The idea of a single European market was gaining traction, but the concept of a single currency was still a distant dream. However, a series of significant developments began to turn the tide. In 1985, the Single European Act was signed, setting a deadline of December 31, 1992, for the creation of a single market. This act aimed to remove physical, technical, and fiscal barriers to trade, making the movement of goods, services, people, and capital across Europe as seamless as within individual countries. The success of the single market would lay the foundation for deeper economic integration, including the possibility of a single currency. During this period, the Delors Commission, led by Jacques Delors, played a crucial role in advancing the idea of economic and monetary union. The Delors Report, published in 1989, outlined a three-stage plan for achieving economic and monetary union in Europe. This report emphasized the need for closer coordination of economic policies and the establishment of a central European bank to oversee monetary policy. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 and the subsequent reunification of Germany added a new dimension to the European integration process. The geopolitical landscape of Europe was shifting, and there was a growing recognition of the need for stronger economic and political ties to ensure stability and prosperity. The Maastricht Treaty negotiations began in earnest in 1991. Leaders from the 12 member states of the European Community, EC, gathered in Maastricht, a historic city in the Netherlands, to hammer out the details of this ambitious treaty. The negotiations were intense and complex, with each country bringing its own concerns and priorities to the table. One of the most contentious issues was the degree of economic convergence required for countries to adopt the single currency. Criteria were established to ensure that only countries with stable economies could join the Eurozone. These criteria included limits on budget deficits, public debt, inflation rates, and interest rates. The goal was to create a stable and resilient economic environment that would support the single currency. Another significant aspect of the Maastricht Treaty was the introduction of the concept of European citizenship. This gave citizens of EU member states the right to live, work, and vote in any EU country, further strengthening the sense of European identity and unity. After months of negotiations, the Maastricht Treaty was signed on February 7, 1992. It marked a turning point in the history of Europe, establishing the European Union and setting the stage for the introduction of the euro. The treaty needed to be ratified by all member states, and this process was not without its challenges. Some countries faced significant opposition and skepticism, leading to heated debates and referendums. Despite these hurdles, the Maastricht Treaty was eventually ratified, and the European Union officially came into existence on November 1, 1993. The path to Maastricht had been arduous, but the vision of a united Europe was now enshrined in the treaty, paving the way for the next chapter in the story of the European Union and the euro. With the Maastricht Treaty in place, the journey towards the introduction of the euro gained momentum. The treaty had outlined the criteria for economic and monetary union, but the practicalities of implementing a single currency across multiple countries were daunting. Nevertheless, the visionaries who had championed the idea of a united Europe were determined to see it through. The first stage of economic and monetary union began in 1990, even before the Maastricht Treaty was signed. This stage focused on enhancing economic policy coordination among member states and eliminating obstacles to financial integration. Capital movements between EU countries were liberalized, setting the stage for deeper financial integration. The second stage commenced in 1994 with the establishment of the European Monetary Institute, EMI. The EMI was tasked with strengthening cooperation among national central banks and preparing for the creation of the European Central Bank, ECB. It also worked on developing the legal, technical, and operational frameworks necessary for the introduction of the euro. A critical milestone was the Madrid European Council meeting in December 1995, where EU leaders agreed on the name of the new currency, the euro. The name symbolized a break from the past and a step towards a new era of European unity. The Council also set January 1, 1999, as the official launch date for the euro. In the lead-up to 1999, extensive preparations were made to ensure a smooth transition to the euro. National central banks collaborated closely, and extensive public information campaigns were launched to familiarize citizens with the new currency. The design of euro banknotes and coins was also finalized, with each denomination featuring symbols of European architecture and heritage. On January 1, 1999, the euro was officially launched as an electronic currency. 11 EU countries adopted the euro, marking a historic moment in the process of European integration. These countries were Austria, Belgium, Finland, France, Germany, Ireland, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Portugal, and Spain. Greece joined the Eurozone 2 years later, in 2001. Initially, the euro was used only for electronic transactions and accounting purposes. National currencies continued to circulate, but their values were irrevocably fixed against the euro. This transitional phase allowed businesses and financial institutions to adapt to the new currency system. The final step came on January 1, 2002, when euro banknotes and coins were introduced into circulation. The changeover was a logistical marvel, involving the production and distribution of billions of banknotes and coins across the Eurozone. By the end of February 2002, national currencies were phased out, and the euro became the sole legal tender in the participating countries. The introduction of the euro was hailed as a monumental achievement, representing a significant step towards European integration. It facilitated cross-border trade and investment, eliminated exchange rate risks, and enhanced price transparency. The euro also strengthened Europe's position in the global economy, providing a counterbalance to the US dollar. However, the euro's journey was not without challenges. The economic disparities among Eurozone countries posed significant risks, and the absence of a unified fiscal policy complicated the management of economic crises. Nevertheless, the euro's introduction marked a new chapter in the story of European unity, demonstrating the power of cooperation and the resilience of the European spirit.